Ruby, why don't you tell us what you're doing?
So, hi guys. How are y'all doing tonight? Orlando!
Good evening, Orlando.
Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of a balayage technique, a faux balayage. I'm one that struggles with a traditional balayage method. So when I was invited first time to come to the butterfly circus, I had to come up with something cool that I felt like would be helpful to other people that might struggle as well. So this is a little combination, kind of a balayage technique. And do you want me to talk about what I'm doing, or do you want to come back to me?
Let's come back to you.
Okay, fantastic.
That was a pretty good intro.
Was that good? Did I do a
Another
good job?
take on it, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay, right on. Casey, what are you up to?
Hey guys, how the hell are you? Good? So, I don't know if you guys have seen before rainbow roots. Obviously, it's a trend right now. I wanted to show you guys today my version and how I do things. I'll tell you a little about it in a minute. Let's see what Steph's up to.
Hi guys. We have got a mirrored shine line going on here, so I can show you. We did this half in the booth, and I wanted to show you guys how we got here.
Right on.
Right on.
What colors are you using there?
We have them all. No, we have jam, Cupid, lava. We have lemon and firefly, and Nirvana.
For a moment there, I thought she might be saying like a different color line. That would have been really embarrassing, right? All right, Ruby, you have something in your heart. Share it with us.
Okay, so what I'm doing right now is to create that power piece, that perfect money piece, power piece, whatever you guys want to call it. That's a place that most people struggle with. I know I do. So going in here, I'm just doing paper fine slices. If you guys were watching that in the first section, I'm starting at the face also because that's ultimately where I want the most amount of lift. So we're going to do paper fine slices, 3 slices back to back. And the first one is going to go feathered all the way to the scalp. Second one is going to be feathered an inch away from the scalp. And third one is going to be feathered 2 inches away. And that's going to help give that really great staggered effect. The other thing is I'm using mesh because I'm not trying to incubate and make it lighter. This is the new Pulp Riot Blonde AF liner. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? And I'm using 6 volume on the pieces that are going to go closest to her scalp, because my end goal is to make it look like a traditional balayage, right guys? A gradient lift. So I want not so bright at the roots and the brighter at the ends. The ends will be 30 volume, and you'll see how I tie that all in.
Right on. So the Blonde AF lightener and developers will be available. They are already available in about 40% of all salon-centrics. They're now going to be available this week in all of them, including state RDA, and they're now available on our website and SalonCentric's website. Really easy to get. All right, so she's doing rainbow roots, which I actually changed the name to Casey Roots because she's the one that seems to be dealing these things all the time. Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen, everything has been like rainbow roots, holographic hair, and everybody, I don't know if you guys see it and you're like, how the hell do they do that? Like holographic, like how does that even happen? So what I do is really tiny sections at an angle of this way. So everything is sliced that way in like really tiny sections. I can't even think of a unit of measure for that. You'll see. And on the sides here, I already did a little bit for you guys to show you so you can see how it comes down. So every color that we start with, I follow the next one down. That way when she has her hair back, you still get the whole rainbow, right? Because it's rainbow roots. You don't want to just have one color here. So she can maybe put her hair up. It's just very versatile, especially since you're just doing the roots. Make sense? Y'all tried it before, anybody? No? Yeah? You gonna now? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Tag me.
Tag me.
Like that. So, what we have going on, I'll show you guys. Here's how thin my sections are. See how thin that is? I want to be able to see through it. So I take a really thin section and I lay it down. The first sections you do are going to be really difficult because the color's going to want to drag down. But once you have it on the mesh, you can use this as your placeholder. So I'm going to do the top and the bottom first. And then I'm going to go towards the middle. And I'm going to just try and connect all of those colors. I'm going to go right on top with my Cupid onto the jam to give it that blend on both sides. And see how it drags a little bit? Won't even matter when you're done with this.
Very cool.
Another real quick tip for you guys. If you're doing rainbow roots, you need to make sure that the pieces, when they fall on top of each other, you want to have the pieces that have color not to fall on top of it until they have it on it. You know what I mean? You don't want to put the color pieces on top of hair that doesn't have color on it, right? So the color is soaked up already here, so I don't have to worry about it bleeding.
Yep.
So I talked about a couple things to make our company different. There's a few more. One thing I know for sure is that no matter what company you are, you cannot bottle and manufacture authenticity. So, is anybody else here kind of annoyed with the trend of paying social media influencers? Anybody? Because it annoys the hell out of me, right? Not anybody on this stage is paid as social media influencers. We don't pay anybody to love our brand. We find people to love our brand, and then we put them to work, and that's how they earn their money. It flips everything on its script. To me, I think you see through it when people are getting paid to like a brand, right? Drives me nuts. The other thing you should know is my name's David. I own the company. Have I ever commented on any of your pages by Pulp Riot? Whenever you see a comment on your page that's from Pulp Riot, that's me. If you direct message it, it's me. This is an authentic experience you're dealing with here.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Oh yeah.
Okay, so coming back on over here, you guys, by utilizing those mesh strips in those front sections, you can see how I can fold those away and create a more comfortable experience for my client as well. Does that make sense, y'all? The worst thing in the world is when you see somebody and they just got all their client's hair. You ever want to walk across the salon and like, here you go, princess, there you go. Now you can read your magazine. So, going on up. So next step to this, because I'm kind of going to do like a heavy partial on her. Let me go back. One of my favorite things to do is to do things like this, to put fashion color on top of. If you spend the time doing a nice blonding technique, I don't care if it's a global lightning, but especially when you do something that's a dimensional lift, I could put one color over a whole head and I know I'm gonna have a ton of dimension, right? Work smarter, not harder. Plus also, if it's pretty before you put fashion color on it, it's gonna be pretty after the fashion color starts to fade, right y'all? So making sure that you're always taking as much attention as possible to the blonding technique that you're gonna do. So for this top section, this side section I should say, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing diagonal back slices because I wanna get the biggest burst of light around her face as possible, right? If I did a diagonal back, it's going to give me like a pinpoint. Does that make sense? So I want a sheet of light to come forward. I'm just gonna start in here doing little baby weaves. Again, this is gonna be my 6 volume, and then isolated with the MB mesh, and then the pieces that are left out will be woven and a 1 push tease, and then 30 volume on the ends. What about you, Casey?
So do you guys see how I'm holding the sections up like this? So what I'm doing is just like you would do for a haircut, using over direction. Because what I'm doing is I'm be able to create this so when it falls down, it's gonna have different pieces and different heights, right? Makes sense? That'll help it blend. If you're unsure, you can use our clear, which is just basically a diluter, but it's also used for many things. You can put it in between and take it right here in the middle and put clear here, and that'll kind of act as a barrier if you're worried about it blending. Also, if you're first time doing this, if you want to, you can just not have to worry about any of that.
So as you guys can see, when I do this top section, because we all have hair that grows at different lengths, I kind of put my hand here, and when I apply it, I pull away really quick, because if I'm slow, I'm gonna keep dragging it all the way down. So I put my hand here and I go really quickly. The other thing is, and this is the hard part, I've already done one side. So if I don't look at this side and I just go to do this side, I'm probably going to be lopsided. So I spend a lot of time making sure that my lines are even. When you get to the back, it's super easy because you stand behind it and you can see the way the colors are coming around. And then you just do the back as needed where those need to connect.
So real quick, you guys see what I'm doing right now? I did that push ombre, right? Everybody loves the way that they look, but everybody hates doing them because ultimately at the shampoo bowl, you're left with dreadlocks, right, y'all? So one of the things that I found to do to help alleviate a lot of those issues is by reducing the amount of strokes. I watch some people, and we all know who they are, that are amazing, and they do this great, beautiful, but they're in, oh my gosh, like they're back combing more than Martin Parsons himself, right, y'all? And it's like, what in the heck? That's just gonna be a hot spot mess up. I'm going to do the least amount of strokes as possible. So 1 stroke, elevating my subsection again, because elevating hair, right, is going to make it diffuse regardless. Even if I didn't do a great job, I could put a straight line in there, and when it falls, it's not going to be straight anymore. So I'm doing that 1 push on back comb, I should say, sorry. And then I'm going to take a conditioning spray, and I'm going to spray that right into any of that back combing. That's going to work twofold. That's going to help that slide out a lot easier, but Also, wherever I've been brushing that lightener into that back comb section, in case there's potential for any spottedness, it will stop the lightening process, right guys? Because conditioner stops lightener from working, not water. Water is still alkaline and it will continue to make your lightener process. Okay guys? There we go.
Have you guys heard about our new neons? Yeah? Woo! I think David has a couple he might throw out. Do you
What?
guys, David?
Let's see what I got here.
You can put one right here in my pocket.
So the neons, the way we name our products is we go to all of the artists that work with us, and we have them all submit names for the neons or for all the products, and then we choose which ones they're going to be. And so all of our team submitted names, and somehow we picked 5 names, and all 5 were Casey's. So she's really good at naming shit. So if you want to name your kids something, just go ahead and text Casey. She'll name your
Mostly
kid.
colors, kids maybe.
There you go. I like that Pulp Riot shirt.
What'd you guys get? Area 51? Yes. That's my favorite name.
Yeah, I'm really loving the Nirvana.
Yeah.
I have a model I'm going to be doing a quick upstyle on later at the booth. One of my girlfriends, one of my Goonies, if y'all know. And I did Nirvana, a double overlay with the Nirvana on all. It is so freaking dope. It's the prettiest color. I mean, ugh.
And they'll be ready to purchase on June 15th. So, Stephanie, I see this amazing color. When you wash it, does it just suck because it all bleeds together?
Well, turn you, my dear. Clearly not.
How did you make that happen?
So I don't work with an assistant in the salon. I'm a little behind the times. We're all busy. I don't have anyone to hold anything up for me. So I just use cold water. I rinse this all together. We used the sinks that were in the back of the convention center. Never, luxurious.
They're like a spa shampoo.
Oh, yeah. It's great. And look how those colors stayed where I put them, right?
Yeah.
Like no bleeding. Look how vibrant.
Woo!
Beautiful.
Same concept with this, guys. You don't have to be worried about this bleeding, especially with lighter colors. If you are worried about something bleeding, or like what Steph was saying, she doesn't have people to hold it out. I usually do, because I'm fortunate that way, and I kind of got used to it. But if you have people hold out the ends of the hair like this, and you rinse the roots off, and you have light ends, your ends aren't going to pick up that color. So just rinse it until it runs clear. Now, if you're using a really dark shade, like our Noir or Nightfall, which are very dark, they might not completely ever rinse clear. Just make sure it's enough to run out where it's not just really dark shade. You know what I mean? You guys do that? Run off? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens. It's a thing.
Did you guys see that elevation after I dropped that subsection down? How much elevation? I almost wanted to look like she's got a ponytail right there when I'm done with that back combing. Lots of elevation, lots of volume. You're like, I don't know if I want to put this in a French twist or into a foil. That's what it is. It's good.
Can you guys see how I'm making the green right on here? Pulp has a ton of awesome green colors. You have a lot of options. What I like to do is choose one color to blend on the mesh. And the reason is I think that it blends better that way. I like, if I use every single color, it's still, I can make it blend. It's a little more work. I want to lay that blue down, and I'll show you. I'll put it right in the middle, and then I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to go vertically. And you can see those little lines in there. I'm then going to take my lemon. I'm going to go right over it. And it kind of just gives that soft blend to your middle color on that mirrored shine line.
That's so cool.
That was such a good visual.
What I love about the fade of Pulp Riot is that I no longer have to be afraid of doing greens. You guys know that, right? You got a girl that she's like, I really like that emerald green. I'm like, no, you don't. Because I know you're going to come back and want pink. And with Pulp Riot, it's literally helped alleviate any of those issues or fears of any shade. I can do any shade of fashion color, and I know that it's going to fade beautifully, but more importantly, it'll come out easy if I want to. If you guys don't remember, I'm blonde AF now. Thanks to Pulp Riot, I'm not bald AF. You know what I mean? Because that could have happened too. Yes.
Not yet.
It's the question we get the most. It's how long does Pulp Riot last? The problem with that question is it's the wrong question. It's how long does Pulp Riot fade? These colors are made to fade. You should prepare your client for that. The difference, though, is that there's the vibrant period, it lasts longer, and then there's the fade period, and it fades more beautifully. Generally speaking, in fading periods before our color line, it was that the pinks fade salmon, the greens fade muddy. these fade beautiful versions of themselves, and sometimes the pastel version is more beautiful than the vibrant version.
So true.
It is.
So it's all about how long does it fade. I'm sick of product companies claiming it lasts as long as this because I think it sends the wrong message to people when they start seeing it fade.
And you guys, when you go to lift out a color, right? We all have to lift out our vivids. What is so frustrating is when you've got, let's say, a silver, and you're gonna pull that out, and all of a sudden it's salmon. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is not what I planned, right? When I go to lift these out, they're going to lift out to what I expect them to be. The blue is going to lift out to a lighter blue, to a lighter mint, and so on. That's what I like because there's no surprises. I'm not sitting back there going, oh crap, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna tone her with? How are we gonna work around this?
It's amazing. I've been doing fashion color. I've been doing hair for way too long, way longer than I would ever like to admit to any of you guys. But, you know, back in those days, we didn't have anything like professional product lines, not until recently. The other thing that's really cool and kind of crazy, and I said this on the Pulp Riot booth yesterday, is like, I remember sitting in a color class when I was a baby and I had all the fashion colors, and the lady who I looked up to, this educator so much, and she points me out in the middle of this room and says, you with that color, nobody's ever going to pay you to do that to them. And by sticking to your guns, people like David thinks it's a good idea to let me teach you guys how to do it.
Y'all laughed at me.
Somebody actually came into the salon. Now, we do stuff like this, like the mirrored shine lines and stuff. That's our fun. That's our creativity. But somebody actually came into the salon and asked me for one. They paid me to put this on their head. How cool is that? Like, that we have enough creativity, and we've got the social media, we've got the companies that really try and promote that creativity inside of you. And people actually do come in and they want these things. And that's in New Hampshire.
I just want to tell you guys, wrapping up right here and just following what I'm doing. I'm still doing that first foil or mesh strip is going to be diagonal back, and I'm connecting them. I'm kind of doing a zigzag. Corrugated, if you guys are familiar with that verbiage as well. When I get to the top, I'm going to switch to a herringbone placement. Same thing, one to the scalp, and anything that's in between, heavily woven, and then a one push back comb. Does that make sense, y'all? And it's going to be beautiful. Thank you.
Casey, can you tell really quick them a little bit about how important it is to take into account what color the hair canvas is that you're putting it on?
Yeah, you really need to make sure that if you have, you know, a really yellow canvas, that you're judging accordingly. Or if you have a really dark canvas, you're not putting light shades on it. So make sure that you're not thinking that you're going to put an exact color that comes out of a tube onto the hair and it's going to show up like that, unless you have a perfect white blonde. When you put it on the paper towel and you test your colors and you see what they look like, it's not going to look like that on the hair. I mean, 90% of the time. So make sure you're adding purples, you know, into your tones that you want cooler, or your warms into your tones that you want warmer. But adjust for your canvas, especially with Pulp Riot. You really need to make sure that that's something that you're looking at.
It isn't nail polish. You just don't put it on and it covers something, right? You literally have to think about what are you putting it on. If you're painting on canvases and one of them's white, one of them's yellow, they're going to turn out two different colors. So when you're dealing with things like our color smoke, which is our charcoal gray, you have to understand it's a blue base. And if you put a blue base on yellow hair, what happens? You get green, right? So you need to then go back to the color wheel and you need to decide what color do I need to put inside my gray if it's going on yellow hair to counterbalance it, right? So this is artistry. It's not just slap it on. It's thinking. I love it.
Smoke is one of my favorites. I love formulating smoke. It's such a great color, and it's got such a great base to be able to do so many things. You can use it to smoke out your darker tones. You can use it as a slate. It does have that blue base, but you can, when you counteract it, you get the prettiest slate gray. If you put a little bit of velvet in there to counteract that blue. If you put a little bit of Fireball and Lemon, which is my favorite, it evens it out, and it's just such a unique color.
Yeah, I really love, just recently, all my rainbows. I used to do whatever color on the root. I'd be like just doing random things, teal, you know, part pink, but it wasn't quite right for an entire rainbow. Now I've been doing mostly smoke and a couple jobs of velvet, and it's the perfect canvas. And it also creates that holographic look, especially when you pair it with pastels and very fine sectioning, like Steph's color she did yesterday, the sand art. You guys saw that? Really beautiful. It really creates that holographic look with tiny sections of pastels and our smoke and a drop of velvet. Try it out.